So in this video, we'll discuss about access control and security. So what is the need for security? Suppose an API without any security, it will be vulnerable to attacks and consumers will not subscribe to those APIs. Anybody can access the API easily, which is not a preferred way of doing things. So there are various methods to authenticate and authorize the APIs. And these methods can be used alone or in combination for a better experience. So these methods can be API keys, application ID, password, JWT, and OAuth are some of the methods. And API gateway helps in implementing this security, making APIs more secure. So let's discuss about JSON Web Tokens. So JSON Web Tokens is a method for securing application in a microservices architecture. Access tokens are generated by the gateway and sent to the corresponding microservice. Gateway and microservice share a common secret key. Hence, they will be able to validate the token and authenticate users using that token. Those tokens have both authorization and authentication information. OAuth. Open authentication is considered as an open standard for token-based authentication and authorization on the internet. OAuth to provide simple key management. They are a logical collection of APIs which generates token to authenticate an application. A single token can be used to access all APIs associated with an application. Also, single API can be subscribed multiple times with many SLAs level. Now, what is access control? Access control helps in deciding who gets access and control different levels of access for different types of users. Access control is one method to ensure that your API call is valid. If needed, you can also classify various types of users and offer a variety of business services. Access gateways lets you deny the access to specific endpoint, methods, and services. And you can easily apply access policy for group of users. Now, what are users and roles? So first one is admin, the API management provider who manages the host, the API gateway. Admin creates and assigns user roles. It manages databases, securities, etc. Then we have creator. Creator is a person who understands the technical aspects of the API and uses the API publisher to move APIs into the API store. The creator can add an API to store but cannot manage its life cycle. Publisher. Publisher manages a set of APIs and controls the API lifecycle, monetization, and subscription aspects. The publisher also has access to all the API statistics. Then we have subscriber. Subscriber uses the API store to discover APIs, read forums and documentation, rate APIs, subscribe APIs, obtain access token, and invoke APIs. Now let's discuss about role-based access control. So all registered microservices are accessible through the gateway. You can execute a specific API from the gateway using a particular access control policy filter. For each API, you can define which user roles will be able to discover and subscribe API via the API store. This can be done using the API visibility settings. Only authorized users should have access to APIs without any interruption. OAuth 2.0 scope is one method of controlling access to users. You can also use XML-based XACML, Extensible Access Control Markup Language, an access control policy language for validating the request. Let's discuss about Netflix API Gateway. So Netflix API Gateway has all these key features incorporated. Netflix is one of the major adopters of microservices, and they created an open source proxy server called Joule. and Joule proxies request to multiple microservices. It is the front door for all services supporting 1000 plus devices and handling 50,000 additional requests per second at peak. It is built to enable dynamic routing, resiliency, monitoring, and security. So Joule is a collection of filters written in Groovy, which is capable of performing a particular action during the routing of HTTP requests and responses. It provides a framework to read, compile, and run these filters dynamically. Joule can rapidly change its behavior and react to the situations. It can be used with other Netflix OSs such as Hystrix, Ribbon, Turbine, and use it to manage filters, load balancing, routing, and routing rules across your system. Spring Cloud offers an embedded Joule proxy that helps in creating UI applications that makes proxy calls to one or more microservices easily. So this is all about APIs and access control securities.